We all know the great, holy, divine goddess of Bollinger and Mabillard. Okay, that's a little weird, but we all know them. They have a perfect track record, they're capacity monsters, and have a quality experience above all. A couple of weeks ago, they announced their first of a newer model called Pipeline, the surf coaster, and you could probably guess it's a surf coaster. Now, there's been a lot of talk in the community for what seems like forever as we follow this model from announcement to the patenting and now to the build process, and this video is here solely for the purpose of hating on the brand new model. When you look at past B&M models, they have never really failed. The worst selling models out of all of B&M's catalog is the sit down, which makes sense because it's not a gimmicky and unique enough of a ride, and the standing coaster was also not that popular, which is the standing coaster, you either love it or you hate it. If you ignore the family coasters, these models were the underperformance of B&M. The sit-down sold 6 times and the standing sold 7. I predict the surf coaster will sell 5 or less.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
And then before we start talking about the why, we need to ask about the what. What even is this so-called surf coaster? And to sum it up, it's a slightly better version of a standing coaster. So at least Pipeline, the one surf coaster that has been announced, is a launch stand-up coaster, which I believe is the first of its kind. So the thing that makes the surf coaster unique is the seats have the ability to bob up and down. I believe this is to make up for a more comfortable ride experience. I mean, my one complaint about the standing coaster is the uncomfortability. Another thing by looking at B&M's patenting is that these moving seats have been patented on both a standing and a sitting version, which also leads me to believe that the bobbing up and down can accentuate a ride's forces. So now that we know what it is, let's talk about why I think this model is going to be so unsuccessful. To start, I have to say B&M is insanely expensive. This scares off the majority of the parks. Yet, they still sell coasters because they make the best inverts, the best wing coasters, the best hypers, and some good dive coasters. Essentially, they dominate most of these markets and have extreme quality with these models, except for the dive, yeah, it's pretty mid. So when Bollinger and Mabillard entered the launch coaster race with their surf coaster, it just isn't going to work out. Why would a park choose B&M over Intamin, Mach, S&S, Premier, Gerstlauer, and even Vekoma for a launch coaster? I guarantee you these 6 companies will all offer a better price than B&M will ever give you, and arguably a better experience, which is my next point. The standing coaster probably died for a good reason. Not to get me wrong, it was highly influential at the time and it was quite a crowd pleaser, but it just died off because it was supposed to. Us humans are getting lazier and lazier, and I honestly don't think there's any appeal to riding a coaster standing up. We spend the whole day at a park standing and waiting in line, so when we finally get the break of getting on the coaster, we are still standing up. Yeah, that's not really gonna help. Additionally, the standing coaster is extremely uncomfortable. Yeah, it's rattly and the dynamic seats will help with that, but there are still some other issues. All the force going to your feet is just a really odd sensation, and one that I don't find comfortable, so when these elements hit, like I assume they are going to, it might not be the best experience. I still don't think this is going to be pleasant on a rider. Going straight up into the best restraints doesn't seem that fun. I mean, the restraints look to be somewhat comfortable, but being forced up into them doesn't sound comfortable. It's hard to say what material these vests are going to be made out of. I assume it's the hard plasticky stuff that's already going around, but this time it won't be pushing down on you, which is fine. I also have to point out that the nook in between your legs is still there, and that's a problem for me, and it may or may not be a problem for you. One more small thing to point out is that B&M is a capacity monster. All their coasters seat an insane amount of riders because of their usual 4 across seating. Pipeline, the surf coaster, seats a 2 across system. Boom, half your capacity is gone. Well, I mean, the surf model has much longer trains, but it does not make up for the ground loss. Take a B&M invert like Alpengeist, it seats 32 riders, and for Pipeline, it seats 24. That's a 25% loss in capacity, which is absolutely huge. I mean, SeaWorld Orlando doesn't get too busy, so it shouldn't matter that much, but it's beginning to see B&M phasing out of their people eater machine. So now that we are done ranting on about the actual model, let's talk about the ride experience. Of course, when you're talking about launch coasters in general, you have fast, whippy launches into a fast, whippy layout, unless you're a Mach. So B&M always has struck me as a super heavy and industrial. Does that make sense? Maybe it's just a me thing, but B&M reminds me of a slow coaster that chugs through its layout. I mean, the inverts are there to prove me wrong, but still, it just looks and feels heavy. And doing some light research and looking at one Reddit post, one car of a B&M train weighs about 2 tons, a normal train is somewhere around the ballpark of 1. So yeah, maybe I am wrong and rigging evidence in my favor, but it just very much so feels that way. I honestly don't think these B&M trains are going to track their layout like some of these other launch coasters do. I mean, once again, I have Thunderbird to prove me wrong. The one other time B&M has used LSMs, it was quite punchy and has some good elements. I just can't shake off the feeling that it's not going to ride that well, just due to the fact that B&M looks so heavy. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing and that's why I don't think this model is going to do well. The standing coaster died out a while ago, and for good reason. There isn't much of an attraction in this model, or any similar model. For the launching aspect, I can think of 6 other manufacturers that can do it better, and for cheaper. I don't see why any parks would even think about buying this, so I said that B&M is going to sell 5 of these coasters. I can see about 1 more coming to the United States, probably in another SeaWorld park like San Antonio or San Diego, but that's really it. I can see 1 maybe coming to Europe at like Alton Towers or something, and I can see a small handful coming to China. I mean, China is a mega sim for B&M, they buy everything B&M, so you know they are going to buy a couple. So yeah, this model is not going to do that well. It will be interesting to see how many sales B&M gets outside of China and what the future of this is going to look like. I really hope B&M proves me wrong and this turns out to be an amazing model. That would be great, B&M, please do that. That's all for today's video, guys. As always, make sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.